Hi guys, Blake and Phil here with Lilley's Landing Resort and Marina. It is May 31st of 2020, last day of the month, and we're going to do the one cast for you today. Today we boated up here. We're starting at Andy's Flat. Oh, fish surface right over there. I am going to be throwing the 762 Signature Series Ghost Shad bait. That's on about 2 foot a leader with an 1/8 ounce weight, Carolina drift rig style. Phil is throwing a double scud rig, those gray scuds.
They're rainbow dubbing. It's a rainbow gray dubbing.
Rainbow gray dubbing.
Rainbow trout.
Oh, no way. Did it break?
So.
Alright. So, we got some
One more rig.
We got some good reports from this morning. I went out fishing with Mike Riffle and Jeff, and we caught quite a few fish this morning, dragging these Ghost Shad 762s. And I landed a brown that was just slightly over 20 inches right across from Fall Creek on the shallow side. We had somebody in one of our pontoon boats today. Their daughter landed a 21-inch brown, dragging a nightcrawler, I believe. And Nathan McLeod landed a 21-inch 5-pound brown trout, dragging a French Pearl 762 Signature Series right down on the Cooper Creek Flat. So 3 big trophy browns that we know of today. Some of the other reports I heard that people were catching a lot of fish today. So a lot of the boats that came back said they did very well. Somebody said they caught a ton of fish on orange and white power bait, dragging it, and they each said that they had a brown on, but they didn't get them in the boat.
Scuds. Tony Lilley said they just tore them up on Scuds.
Tony Lilley says they just tore them up on Scuds. We've been having people bringing trout back to the dock to clean them that are just, their guts are absolutely packed full of Scuds.
Below Fall Creek.
Below Fall Creek. And I think we said the other day that we were like in the moss that we're pulling up off the bottom around our dock is absolutely loaded with Scuds. So I think that this flood water and the warmer water is definitely having an effect on the Scud population. Comes Steve Dickey right now. And so if you're going to be out, oh, there's one. If you're going to be out fishing, I recommend Scuds, and I recommend these little floating jerk baits.
I just missed one.
Floating jerk baits have been doing very well on them.
What?
Yeah.
We are. First fish.
All right.
Yeah. Get those hooks away from me.
I think that was on the first cast.
It was.
Oh.
Don't drop the fish.
Well, he broke my lure.
You broke your lure?
Well, he broke it off the line.
Oh. Steve just wanted a little bit of camera time. I didn't have moss in my Scuds. I had it on the way.
They are still running 4 floodgates at 1 foot apiece with 4 generators for a total of 17,800 CFS. And I would suspect that we're going to see that for quite some time. The last time we had floodgates, like what, a month and a half ago? The lake didn't get nearly this high, and they ran it for 3 weeks, I think. So we could be looking at over a month of floodgates. You net? Man, he's feisty.
I thought the weight came up and grabbed your line.
Oh. Something I recommend if you're going to be out on the water here soon is if you're really looking to catch a trophy brown trout and you don't care about catching numbers, I recommend getting some of these floating jerk baits and dragging them from Cooper Creek Flat all the way down to Monkey Island. It may be slow fishing, but with the water moving this fast, you can get a good drift with these jerk baits down there. And there's always a very good possibility of catching a brown.
Is that one of the signatures?
Yeah, this is a signature series.
You don't need to use them signatures.
That's why I said float and jerk bait.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some cheaper ones in the shop. If you've got some in your box already that are little 2 to 3 inch floating jerk baits, you can use those. Just take the front treble hook off, put it on this drift rig. Don't use any more than an 1/8 ounce of weight, and it should work. We drug them. Today we stayed here about where we're drifting now from Point Lookout down through the Narrows and did the best. It was a little mossy dragging the jerk bait. I don't know how it is dragging Scuds or anything up there right now. I haven't tried it, but the bill was definitely catching some moss up there. But there's a chance if the floodwaters keep running, they could push the rest of that moss out. Oh. He was looking at it. Another thing you could try now that the floodgates are running is dragging a deep diving crankbait. You do not need to put that on a drift rig, as long as it's a crankbait that can dive up to 15, 20 feet.
That's far.
Well, I mean, there's some areas like right up there right now that are over 15 foot deep. So, but a deep diving crankbait, and you just put it on some 6 or 8 pound tests. You cast it out behind the boat, and reel it to the bottom and just hold it. It'll stick to the bottom. We got some. I think we still have some fat-free fingerlings left in the shop. I know that once we run out of those, you can't get those anymore unless you go online and find them somewhere. They discontinued that model.
Isn't that the one Dwayne said that I said they discontinued it, and he said I was crazy? I
think they really did discontinue it. But Bomber does make, they have a new one, and I wish I remembered the name of it now, but it's the equivalent to that lure. So Bomber still makes something that's very similar. And there's plenty of other companies that make deep diving crankbaits. We have a couple other versions up in the shop that you can use. I recommend anything that looks like a shad. That brown that Nathan caught earlier was on a French Pearl signature series, which is a shad imitation, a white shad. And they said that they had their best luck actually on the French Pearl on the white. So I don't think many shad have come over the dam, but I think that some of the fish are tuning into the ones that have slipped through. I'm gonna scoot us a little bit closer over to the channel over there. now we are directly over the top of the Narrows, and we're coming for this channel side. I've noticed that whenever I've been up here drifting, I'll start over there on that right side, kind of on that flat we started on, and then once I get down here, I like to scoot into this channel because, I don't know, there's just always a lot of fish here in this channel. Oh, he smacked that thing. What size weight are you using on your drift rig there, Phil?
4 ounce.
So the jerk baits, when you're dragging them, they really don't require, I haven't found any level of flood water that requires more than an 1/8 ounce of weight. But if you're going to drag the flies, scuds or San Juan worms, have you tried a San Juan worm yet in the floodwaters? Usually San Juan worms work pretty good when they're running this much water, red or cerise. But you're going to have to use a heavier weight, and Phil says he's using a 1/4 ounce right now and getting a good bounce.
I believe it. It's fished there.
I know it. I feel like I'm about to catch a tree. When I drag these, I don't normally cast too far out behind the boat. I've noticed that the farther I cast, the more it seems that it'll get hung up. So I just kind of do a little lob cast. I think it keeps a sharper angle down to the weight. I find that I don't hang up and or get as much moss when I do. So just a little side note. Once we go past this stump down here, I'm gonna get right in behind on that flat. They're tapping it, they're just not committing. I still got battery.
Oh, yeah?
Another thing to note, no matter what you're drifting, if it stops bouncing, pull it in and check it for moss.
Up through here. Oh.
I'm gonna scoot us in right behind this log. This always seems to be a really good spot for scuds, especially. I've seen a lot of live sculpin fish on this flat here in front of the island. Do what? Yeah. been a really pretty day today on Lake Taneycomo. Not too hot. This morning was just slightly chilly. Chilly enough for a jacket on the boat. You bumping the bottom? Right below the end of this island this morning is where I caught that brown. He was kind of hanging out in the eddy water that comes off the tip of this island. There's got to be a fish waiting here, hungry. Saw some people fishing in the mouth of Fall Creek this morning. They were catching some fish. That's kind of like that. The mouth of the creeks right now are going to be areas where you're probably going to find some fish congregated, getting out of the current. Huh?
I like it.
Where you want to go to? You want to go down to that dock?
Below Mount Fall Creek.
Yep, we are officially outside of the trophy area now. I think I got moss. Huh. Pretty clean. So the way I've got my rods set up right now, I've got one of the Lilleys laser SGs that we sell up in the shop for the reel. Hey, I've got 6-pound tests spooled on here, and then on my leader portion underneath the barrel swivel I have 4-pound tests. And this is one of our Lilleys landing rods that we have up in the shop as well. It's a medium light 6'6" fast action rod, and it's good for dragging and for jigging. Sounds like a nicer fish. Chunky. I actually haven't tried dragging the lure through here. the jerk bait through this part of the lake recently, so we'll find out. I know that when I'm drifting a scud, I definitely like to stay over here on this side, opposite of the Fall Creek Marina. Got him. Look at how packed his belly is. Oh, darn it. I wanted to show that belly off. I would say that he was packed full of scuds. And I am gonna wait to throw a second right here. This is what we call Dino's dock. Right off the edge of it, there's a very large lure catching machine of a stump of a root wad. So it's the dock. It's got 2 slips. It's got an American flag. If you see that and you're dragging something, reel in and then wait till you get past the dock. Me and Mike, whenever the water was off 2 weekends ago, we stopped and looked at that thing. I could not believe how many lures were on that. If you like tying flies and you're coming out, I recommend tying up some size 10 and some size 8 scuds. Whenever the water's flowing this fast, the bigger the better. They can see it better. I think that's what I talked to Steve last night, and he said he was using size 10 and size 8 scuds. So
we don't have very many in the shop, but we've got some being tied.
Cool. So Phil says we've got some being tied up in the process right now.
12 will work.
Well, yeah, well, absolutely. But they definitely, the bigger, you're not gonna go wrong with bigger. Some decent rainbows here. We'll have to call those ones the floodgate scuds. You get the top one?
Spit them up.
Wow, look at the belly on that. Impressive. Man, he made a plump. scoot us a little bit closer to this inside edge again.
Better below Fall Creek. I kind of had a feeling we were going to do that.
Yeah, I hadn't tried dragging too much through here. The last couple days. Oh. Ooh. I have to try a San Juan worm tomorrow and see how it works. Three on the Scud and one on the jerkbait below Fall Creek. Yeah, they are definitely gorging themselves on those Scuds right now. Oh, dang it. They're coming up and hitting the back end of my bait. They're just not getting the hook. Should have tied on one of the white ones. When I'm drifting past these docks, coming up on Short Creek, sometimes I like to take whatever I'm dragging and give it a toss so that it'll drag underneath the docks. Find some fish underneath there sometimes. I got some 3/8 ounce, unless you already got it tied on. Yeah, sometimes throwing it off to the side will get it down to the bottom quicker. I got some 3/8 in my tackle box there. Dang it. You can try pointing the nose forward and slowing the boat down. So that's just proof that all it takes is making sure that you're hitting the bottom right. And so in this situation, we didn't want to switch the weight, so I slowed the boat down with the trolling motor and it hit the bottom, and sure enough, there was a fish. Hit the bottom that time. Just a extremely slight adjustment to our speed made all the difference there. Oh gosh. Another thing to note on those double scud rigs, whenever there's this much water flowing, you really want about 6 foot a leader. If it's too short, it just doesn't work very good. So he's got about 6 foot a leader on that from his weight down to his last scud. Get it where it needs to be. You're not having luck dragging the Scuds through here in the next couple days, changing your weights or your speed. Man, they got some bellies. Oh, did that break off?
No.
Okay.
Back up my hand though.
Yeah. Done that before.
You gotta take it from that tree.
Do what?
Tree right here.
Is there? I don't usually drag this side.
Right down, just right up
Bet I'll,
the piggy's dock or a little bit below.
bet I'll find it with my jerk bait.
So you reel in.
Taking the chance for Frank.
Right won't be down there.
Go across the other side. I just didn't know if you wanted to drag that inside seam over there or over here. I might. Switch sides up here on me so I can scoot the boat that way. So this seam line starting. We can make it all the way back to the dock in the next 8. This seam line that is directly across from Trout Hollow Lodge. I had Paul, one of our guests, in the boat the other night. We were dragging these little jerk baits, and he boated his personal best brown at 20.5 inches. I think about a month ago, maybe a little more.
Man, there's a lot of trees over here.
I know. But if you can get right on the seam line here and avoid the trees, there seem to be a lot of browns through here. I've caught a lot in the last 2 months dragging the seam on with the jerk bait. You still going slow enough, or do I need to slow the boat down? Okay. I still haven't touched the bottom. There we go. If you're jig fishing, looking for some slower water, this seam goes, there's a fish. This seam goes all the way down to our dock, almost. Yep, I mean, right? Where the water's slower. Once again, fish like to get into those seams to get out of the fast current. So if you're looking to throw a jig maybe, this could be a good spot for you. no. Will you hand me the pliers off the front of my bag there? He actually, usually they just kind of get it in the, don't do it. Usually they just kind of get it in the lip. But he actually took the hook down in his mouth. These bleed pretty good. You want to put them in the live well? It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen from time to time. Uh-oh. Pop right off?
I gotta wait.
I got a jerkbait rod there if you want to throw it, or you got your jig rod. You want me to point the nose forward?
No.
Huh. Doesn't bother me, I can drag either way. Yeah, I'm hoping so. It's about the right time of the day for it. We had a guest staying with us, I want to say about a month ago. And they were dragging they're actually dragging the one I'm dragging right now past this dock here, and they caught that 10-pound 28-incher. I think you helped them that night. I heard somebody today caught a 7-pound rainbow. I want to say they were using a white jig up in the trophy area by the dam today.
Really?
Yeah, I heard it on the dock somewhere. And that is a big rainbow. Oh. That was a big fish. Come back for it. Back for it. I think he tasted the
Long rod.
I think he tasted the metal on that one. We got a much slower drift going sitting here in the seam line. I think jig colors that have been working pretty good still with a sculpin and ginger with the orange head. Trial has been working for me whenever I throw it. Probably an all sculpin. I tried an all sculpin lately, but I bet it'd work too if the trial is working. Yeah. You ready to call it? Try dragging that thing.
Dragging it?
Yeah. There were people that were using shad flies earlier today.
Use something else.
Oh. Sometimes if I'm getting a bite and they keep hitting it, I'll give the jerkbait just a little wiggle. Sometimes that's enough to entice them. Make them think it's getting away. Still doing all right, man?
Probably not. Can't believe you hadn't lost that fish.
Taking the Taking the belly hook off of it really improves your chance of not losing it. There's been times where I've drugged the same one for days of fishing in a row, and some days I get unlucky and I lose 4 or 5. Yeah, I'm getting a really clean bounce through here. I'm not feeling anything on the bottom. Alright, my buzzer beater brown's gonna come. It's gonna be next couple minutes. The last time the floodgates were running, we were catching quite a few right before the dock. Do you think the fish congregate around this little outlet they have underneath the water here? Oh, that's a decent fish. He may not be as big as I thought he was, but he felt good. It's a very pretty rainbow. Not the brown I was looking for, but he hit it hard. I'm gonna end on that note. Pretty though.
Yeah. Thought he had the big brown.
Alright guys, well, thanks. We thank you guys for watching. Like and share us on Facebook. And we'll do it again tomorrow. Sure, turn it off?
No.
Oh, okay. I saw the settings thing on there. So.